Welcome to Watch Josh Cooking, and today's recipe will be naan. Naan is an Indian bread that is normally eaten with curries, but in my opinion, it tastes good with anything. For naan, we're going to start off with 120 millimeters of warm water. It can't be too hot, can't be too cold, because we need to activate the yeast. So we're going to pour it into a large mixing bowl. It can be either metal or glass, but it has to be quite big. Then I'm going to add a tablespoon of granulated sugar. And then we need to mix it really well, like so. Now that's quite mixed well, you need to see, like if you can see specks like this in the bottom, you need to mix it more. So mix it until you can't see any specks. Now I see very minimal specks, now none at all. So I'm gonna add 2 teaspoons and a quarter teaspoon, 2 1/4 teaspoons of active dry yeast. And now I'm gonna slowly mix it in, but you don't wanna mix it in too aggressively or it won't activate. The cool thing with metal bowls is because when you spin, the bowl will help you. So we need to make sure to get all the sides. Now we're gonna let it rest for 5 minutes or until it gets foamy. Now that the yeast is nice and foamy, like this, I'm going to add 270 grams of all-purpose flour, 114 grams of full-fat Greek yogurt. We need to use all of it, so make sure to scrape your bowl really well. A tablespoon of olive oil and a nice amount of salt. But if you want to be specific, half a teaspoon. And remember, the whole recipe and all the measurements will be in the description. So now we're going to mix this until it forms about a shaggy dough. You need to make sure to incorporate all the flour, otherwise it will become like not perfect. So make sure you get all the flour in and scrape the bowl. Now that it's starting to form a shaggy dough like this, I am going to grab a bowl. I have a bowl here with some extra flour to do some dusting. So I'm gonna prepare our table. And now I'm gonna mix it one final time, and this is what our dough is looking like. I'm going to put it on to the countertop, and now we're gonna knead it for about 10 minutes. Now that I've kneaded my dough, or naan bread dough, it looks about like this. I'm gonna get some olive oil and I'm gonna grease a clean bowl. And you're going to want to put a nice amount on the bottom and on the sides. Like, this should be enough, and then you're going to just swirl it around. Do it nicely covered like this. Now we're going to place our dough in here, and I'm going to cover with a damp tea towel. Like this. Now we're going to let this rise for 1 hour. To knead your dough, you're going to get a floured workspace, and I'm going to bring over the dough, use the palm of my hand and push it down. Bring it over, push it down. Then I'm going to twist it, bring it over and push it down. And you see the dough is starting to get sticky, so I highly recommend a bench scraper. So when it sticks, you can just clean it off easily. So now you're going to basically repeat this for about 10 minutes or until it's smooth and shiny. Now that our dough has been here and is risen quite a lot, I'm gonna remove it. The oil is facing down, so we're going to move it up, and we're just gonna mix in the oil a little bit, like this, until we're just gonna knead it for like 30 seconds, so that all the oil here is absorbed into the dough, so it doesn't have equal and unequal parts. Now I'm gonna shape it into like kind of like a little log almost, because this is the easiest way how to cut it. And we're gonna need to divide it into 8 pieces. So normally I'm gonna cut in half like this. And I'm gonna divide each into about 4 pieces. And if you have a tiny one, you just start removing a little bit from every single one to make a nice even one. We're gonna repeat this for the second one as well. Now we're just gonna want to ball them all like this. It's okay if some are slightly bigger, some are slightly smaller. And now we should have 8 equal naans. And now we can start to prepare them for cooking. To prepare them for cooking, we're gonna roll each naan, and I'm just gonna do it a little vertically like this, and then a little bit like this as well. You kind of want to make it like a longer shape like this. And this shape for me is good. So right now I'm going to turn on the stove to about high heat. And while it's heating up, I'm going to start preparing the next one. But something that's really interesting with naan is that when you're about to put it in the stove, you're going to put some water on top like this. Like just some water on top, so then it cooks really nice and well. And now let's move to the cooking part. Now that the naan is nicely ready, if there's a little hole when you're grabbing it, just try and patch it up quickly. Now I'm going to put the wet side down and cover it immediately with the lid. Now we're going to cook it for about a minute to 30 seconds. And you see it's starting to puff up a little bit. It's okay if there's a little hole. It's fine, it happens. It's starting to puff up like this. I'm gonna cook it for probably about 20 more seconds, 22 seconds. And when we take it out, we're gonna flip it and take off the lid, because then you don't need it anymore. Then we're gonna brush it with some melted butter and put it on a plate. Then we're gonna just stack them all, so then it becomes like a naan pancake stacker thing. And this is our naan. It's gonna be a little hard to peel it off at first, because that's how it's supposed to be. Then we're gonna flip it. And now we're gonna let it cook for about a minute or 2. And while that's cooking, we'll prepare the next one, which is the same thing. Try and make it into like a nice little log. This is my favorite shape. It's like a island sort of. It needs to be like this, because if it's circles, it's kind of like reminds me too much of a pizza. And look, now you need to have some charge spots. This is about good. Now I'm gonna flip it, brush it with melted butter on one side. And now we're gonna put the next one on. Repeat this process until all your naan is finished. This is the final product. I made about 8, but I put 3 so we can show you the final product. I'm gonna take a little bite. It's very, very good. It's nice and soft and airy, and the melted butter on top adds a nice nuttiness. And now, what can you eat this naan with? One of my favorites is butter chicken curry, which will be my next recipe. Let's give it a taste together. I'm gonna do it in here. Let's give it a taste. It's very good. These are just like 2 perfect combinations. It's like a sandwich. You need to have the filling. And if you just have the bread, it's bland. And if you have the filling, it's good. These are like a sandwich. You need to have them both to be perfect. It's so good. Thanks for watching. I hope you like and subscribe, and comment which recipe you want me to make after the button chicken. Bye.